Double your pleasure, double your fun. 2 Matts today. You can't do it alone, and you're going to do it today with 2 Matts. We'll be back in a second. I don't know what it was, but when I saw Matt and Matt, that gum commercial popped to my head. It's probably been 80 since I heard that.
That's a pretty solid intro. Yeah, it sounded like the Juicy Fruit intro or something like that. It was good. Just got a good ring to it.
So tell everybody who the other Matt on the other side of the camera is.
Awesome. I'm Matt Rolfe. I'm a hospitality leadership coach. I spend all day, every day in rooms with leaders and leadership teams, helping them get clear on their strategy. And more importantly, not how do we create one, but how do we actually get the stuff that we want done and execute and get the results we want and deserve. Spent my entire life and career in hospitality, from working in restaurants, moved as a supplier side with companies like Anheuser-Busch and Bacardi, and been an entrepreneur in the industry for 16 years now. And excited to have just a good conversation today about what's going on out there and how we can help.
What was your big takeaway? I mean, Anheuser-Busch and Bacardi, that's a lot of systems and procedures and just some crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's a great question. The one story that I share a lot in my workshops is I'm up in Canada. So Carlos Brito and his team from Brazil took over the company here, Labatt, before they actually took over Budweiser. So to put it in context, Anheuser-Busch made $22 billion in profit last year, more than all consumer packaged goods companies combined. And what I watched Carlos do, $22 billion in profit. So more than General Mills, Procter & Gamble. And when I looked at, because we watched them take Labatt from a $200 million profit company with lots of legacy to $1 billion plus in profit in under 5 years. And what they did was, the lesson is they simplified. They created, there's lots of stuff and things that we can be doing as suppliers or restaurant operators, but there was 3 relentless focuses every day. Like in Brazil, they literally beat a drum in their their huddles at the beginning before people go out to sell the product. But they brought that focus to Canada. They took over Interbrew, and then they took, respectfully, they took over Budweiser and now Sam Miller. So just the biggest beer company in the world. And it was all through not lots of things to be doing, but what are the 3 things that when relentlessly executed get us the results that we want? And I got a chance to witness that, and it was powerful.
Wow. So when I look through your book and I'm digging this, by the way, if you guys haven't gotten it, where can they find the book? Amazon, anywhere else?
Yep. Amazon's the core platform that we're pushing out to the US right now. So we're looking to go live in some retailers. There's Barnes & Noble, but the best place to go we've had some really good results. So the best place to go from a stock perspective right now is Amazon.
Amazon, they got it all, but check it out. And also, I always say this, when you buy the book, give it a read, leave a review, because reviews help others find it and help it get found by a lot of people. So when I look at chapter 10, invest in yourself, this was something that unfortunately came to me in my late 30s, that I was so busy hustling 20s and early 30s that I was working on my clients, working on their companies, and I wasn't investing in myself with coaching, with reading, with education. Talk about that with you and with regards to restaurants.
Yeah. And I'll share really my stories similar to yours. Like it was just, I was working so hard all day, every day, charging forward. And I learned from my experience, like in my mid 30s, I was seeing lots of success financially. We were working with lots of people, but I was empty, drained, frustrated. And, really my family, my wife was really getting what I used to call us leftover parts of Matt, because I was leaving everything at work. So I come home and I thought I was there, but I was just so exhausted. And what I needed to do was step back and continue to invest in myself so I could be the leader that I wanted and needed to be to lead my companies forward. And that was my experience. But when we put the chapter in the book, it's often leaders are talking about, what do my people need to do? What do my staff need to do? What do my managers need to do? But when we step back, is people will follow example. And often what needs to happen to change results in a restaurant is, how does the leader allow themselves space to invest in themselves, to breathe, to make sure we're getting perspective from outside our own experience, so we can move forward with clarity. Because respectfully, the last 2 years has been incredibly taxing, no matter where you are in North America with the pandemic. There hasn't been a lot of time to breathe. So I just, as started to invest in myself, watching your videos, you're carving out time at 4 a.m. That's an investment in yourself, whether it's all in work, but there are processes, strategies. And when I study successful leaders, they all seem to be doing the same things. And leadership starts with us. Yep. We can't lead our teams if we can't, you can't lead others until you lead yourself. You can't invest in others till you make an investment in yourself. And that's where it started. And it's a pattern. The top leaders I see are doing it. And then the average, the core of the industry is really fighting to stay on top of things. And often we got to slow down and speed up.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I've learned from that, and especially what you just said there, was talking about the last couple of years has been tough, and it definitely has been. But at the same time, if you're not taking care of yourself from a investing in your health, and like I went for a jog during lunch before I ate probably a
Love it.
bad sandwich. I went for a mile run around the block, came back, but I'm investing in my health. Do I have 10 minutes to go run around the block? Yes, everybody does. Do I have, 30 minutes to get up and read a book that's going to help me get to a better place? Do I have time to organize my life a little better? All of that also reflects to your team, that people think just because I'm in the kitchen chopping onions and doing with the trenches and I'm grinding 15-hour days, like you might be causing more harm
Yep.
than you would be if you were investing in you outside of that and making yourself a little better person.
100%. And one person I've spent a lot of time with is Tony Robbins. And he's been saying this
Yep.
for 3 decades now: success leaves clues.
Yep.
So my coach said to me, it's like, look at people who you want to be. And, I was 50 pounds heavier. I was like, again, felt like I was doing good results.
Wow.
I physically couldn't keep up. I was exhausted on the weekends. That could lead in our industry to other behaviors of overeating, drinking. There's all kinds of, triggers. So for ourselves, and we look to what we can do, is I just look to people, yourself as an example. You look at Grant Cardone, as we talked about earlier. I saw you post Brad Lee,
Yep.
in shape, relentlessly working on themselves. And when we do that, then we can really be there for the people around us. And it's just follow the patterns. The best leaders are working less and with more focus.
And Brad Lee is a badass guy. I met with him. We went out.
Yeah.
I was in Vegas about 2 months ago and spent about an hour and a half with him, and just exactly what you see on Instagram. No nonsense, knows his stuff. But it's just great to hear from multiple places.
Yeah.
So my next one, I love the saying, the old get the right people on the bus in the right seats. Find your people. Chapter 4. We did a session when that book came out. I don't know when it was, but I remember we went to a business training in Vegas with Yamaha and learned about the whole on the bus thing. And we came back, we had a big meeting. We had our boat. This is why I had the boat dealership back in the mid 2000s. And I remember having a bus. I had a picture of a bus up on there. I had every single employee's name. And I said, hey, I just want to let you know, a couple of y'all are going to be under the bus when we get done with this damn meeting. Because, he says, get off the bus, I'm going to run the damn bus over you. But I think we have a habit sometimes of hanging on to people that we shouldn't be hanging on to. And they're toxic to everybody else.
100%. And that's like what we often work on is it a process issue, meaning we have to hire new people, or is it a psychology issue, meaning what happens if Dave, who we know, just example, Dave, who's toxic, if he goes, what if we can't replace them? What if I can't find somebody? So we often hold on to people because we don't have a system in place to attract. We don't have a bench built. You have look at any NFL football team, they've got a depth chart. Dallas Cowboys have a depth chart bigger than any team in the league to go, 17 quarterbacks deep if they need to. But in the industry, we're holding on to toxic people, often because there's not an attract mechanism or strategy in place that allows us to have talent in the wings should we have the ability to bring them on the team. And I know right now it might sound easier said than done, but there are people to work. There are leaders in every major city to work in your restaurant. If you're short right now, they're just not working for you. We've got to change our strategy. We've got to have a continuous conversation. But if we want to get the right people in the right seats, it does. I agree with you. Sometimes removing one person can change the whole dynamic of a team, of a restaurant's results.
Yep.
I'm not a headcount coach. I'm not looking to cut people and move your team out. But what I do want to do is make sure that the people fit. They want to be there. They believe in your vision. If they died on the vine, that we allow them to, we help them go work somewhere else. And that we're constantly having a track strategy in place to make sure that we're able to support our growth.
And ironically, you mentioned, the labor issue now and people finding people. Tomorrow I'm doing a webinar because on labor and people having enough of it, because we get, I'd say on a bad day, 2 applications, on a good day, 5 to 10 for our company. Yeah. And I don't have anywhere posted for the most part that I'm hiring. I had a guy yesterday this guy's a rock star. This dude reached out to me 2 days ago. We had a phone call yesterday and he said, I saw a video you did a long time ago. Somebody tagged me in it. And I remember the video. I was in a van, one of our vans driving. I said, hey, I was my video guy, my phone up on Instagram. I said, if you're a badass, the restaurant biz, you're a hustler, you care about people, and you're a badass, let me know, because we're always looking for badasses. And this video was I bet 4 months ago. And I guess it triggered, he saw something, somebody tagged him, it got him following me. and he just reached out the other day. But I'm doing a seminar or a webinar tomorrow because a group of marketing firms like myself, I had heard about a month ago, a bunch of guys were complaining, having a hard time finding people. I said, the reason you're having a hard time finding people is because you suck at attracting people. The reason I don't have a hard time, reason I get people call me every day wanting jobs. I think I had 2 texts earlier today from people wanting to know if I'm hiring for anything. Like the one lady was from the hospital, she's from a medical profession, nothing even close to what we do. But she's like, I see what you're doing. It's attractive to me. And that's why I think the restaurant business has struggled with hiring people, is that for 2 or 3 years before the pandemic, restaurants weren't telling their stories. And so it's just another job. It's another place that sells pizza. It's another place that sells burritos, another place that needs servers. But if all of a sudden you reverse that and you're on Facebook and Instagram 4, 5, 6 times a week, doing lives, doing TikTok videos, doing boomerangs, having fun, naming food meals. I tell a story all the time. There's a place in Oklahoma that had the Miller Time deal, and it was named after the employee. And they had a picture of him. And the reason was that every Thursday he would take this entire meal home to his wife and 2 kids. And they said, well, that's our avatar, a husband and wife and 2 kids. Let's take those items. It adds up to like $30 retail, $29.99. This is the Miller Time. And then they got to tell the story. Hey, by the way, if you don't know who it is, it's the guy back there who actually makes the food. It's his favorite thing. So it's undercover marketing, but then it also shows consumers a different side. And so when it comes around to you needing help, people they're attracted to what you're offering.
Yeah. And we say, and one thing with Matt, with your brand that's really clear is it's like a magnet, right? You're going to attract people who feed off your energy, who see your pace. You're also going to repel people who don't. It's what we want. Yep. People, they're going to look at, I can't keep up with that pace or strategy or pursuit, and that's what we want to be doing, is attracting people who believe what we believe, as Simon Sinek says, but also repelling others that don't. So what the most watched videos I've ever watched, the best restaurants I've worked with shoot and YouTube video content, is the owner sitting down to camera talking not about the job. Here's our process. Here's what you do with your job. Why do we exist? Why does our community need us? What's their fight, their struggle? Where are they going? Like 3 minutes of an operator to video that's sharing their story. So somebody can say, I see that person because I'm working in a restaurant right now and I feel overworked, undervalued, and over capacity. But that I buy into, whether they're from the medical industry, the restaurant industry. But there's so much power in storytelling. And if your storytelling's on a job ad that you're putting on Indeed, for example, by the time we're done this recording, you're going to be on the 16th page of Indeed and behind 300 other job ads. So how do you uniquely tell your story? And technology has made it just so much easier to do that right now.
It's a gold mine. I mean, I'm sitting in a studio. People think this is an awesome. You can't see it, but I've got an audio board. We've got 3 cameras. We got lights. Not enough. I don't think we need more. We got microphones, fancy little headphones. I mean, you can. It's easy. You can do the same crap. I did it for 5 years on my phone.
Yeah.
I didn't have a fancy microphone. I didn't have a podcast studio. I didn't have a TV wired out there broadcasting this to the audience. Even though there's no audience, I guess it's just a blank lobby, because our studio goes out to our lobby. But it's easy to storytell. And you said something a minute ago, which I think is huge. It took me a while to grasp. Brad Lee did a video, of all people, because you mentioned him earlier, probably 6 months or a year ago, that I saw. And he said, I was putting out all sorts of content. And I'm watching and nobody's watching it. Nobody's engaging. Nobody's doing anything. So finally one day I called my camera guy and said, you know what? I'm tired of going to sit in the studio. I just want you to follow me around. Capture me. Screw the rehearsed videos we're talking about a specific. Just capture me. And he's like, my audience blew up because people that were attracted to me were attracted. People were repelled, got the hell out. And I'm the same way. Like, I realized that, I'm not a Andrew Dice Clay, but I cuss and I drop D's nuts jokes about every 5 seconds. And that's what she says. And, I do that around the office. I kick and pull people's hats off their heads. I drive a fast car. And so I was kind of hiding that sometimes in my content. And when I saw him say it, I'm like, he's right. If people are going to come here, if they're going to be attracted to me as a client or as an employee, they need to be attracted to the actual Matt Plapp, the one that's wearing an orange gym shirt, orange shorts, and has orange pig socks on.
I just hope you have pants on when you put your leg up like that. So I hope you do have shorts.
Yeah, shorts. I got orange MP shorts. We're good.
And what I say to people is people want real, not perfect. The biggest failure in my career is I had a couple mentors in my early stage that I was trying to mirror with the fancy suit and the
Oh
shoes.
yeah.
And, I grew up with a learning disability. I struggled through school. I've had my challenges in life with anxiety and depression that I didn't talk about till 5 years ago because I thought it was a weakness. And I had the same experience. And if you're a
Yep.
leader out there, whether it's video content or in your interview or leading your team, is people, especially when we've been disconnected, just want real and
Yep.
genuine. And we don't have to have all the answers. We have to be relatable so we can
Yep.
build a tribe that's willing to run through that effing wall for us to rebuild our industry because we need it. We need it right now.
And that's what you said about the suit and tie. That's where I don't know if you know, my logo is my initials, MP. It was like a fist bump. But that's where that came from, was I was always wearing an orange golf shirt and khakis and dress shoes. And I hated it. I'm not a khakis guy. I'm an Air Jordans guy. I'm an Air Force Ones. I'm a, whatever, and I said, you know what, I'm done. So I've gone to meetings with high powered people and I show up in sweatpants. They have my MP logo on them, a sweatshirt and some Jordans. And if you carry it and you own it and it's you, hey, are you hiring me because I'm the best at what I do? Or are you hiring my company because I wore khakis and dress? It's just not me.
Yeah. I think what you said, the lessons I learned from Bacardi and from Anheuser-Busch. From Bacardi, I had a boss where I was traveling with. And again, if you're a restaurant leader out there, I want you to look at the GM you're mirroring or the regional or the president or whoever you're looking up to, the owner. But I was traveling with this person. He's a driver. He's very dominant, very alpha. And I have strength to me, but I'm not him. And he pulled me in the car and he said, Matt, you've got a lot of talent as a young salesperson. He said, I want you to be yourself. Don't be me. If I could go back and not be me, he said, because he used over aggressive language and he had to be super hard. But he said, you want to look at others, but continue to be yourself, right? See what they're doing for pattern wise, but be genuine to you. And Matt, I'm sure for your brand and for mine, once our social content changed and we started to be real, we've got a lot of room to grow, but it got real, and it got real with the right audience. When we started to attract employees to our team, or more so clients, I was working with a bunch of people that I'm a scrappy coach. I can work with big corporate national chain, and I do all the time, but I'm going to bring ideas that are going to challenge that concept. It might not fit corporate. I work with scrappy entrepreneurs in the restaurant industry. That's where I fit. That's my avatar. And if I focus there, then we can create the right change. So once we get more true with ourselves, inside a restaurant, as a supplier to a restaurant, I think in my experience, I had a lot more impact.
I love it. It's great stuff. Where are you at in Canada?
I'm in Toronto. So I've been in Toronto, went to Calgary for a couple of years, and which is in the west coast of Canada. And I'm in Toronto, and we spend a lot of time in Canada. And our focus obviously is spend a lot more time, especially now that we're allowed back across the border, and helping restaurants across North America.
Are you a Raptors fan?
I am a Raptors fan. So I'm a season ticket holder for the last, I think, 6 years now with some friends.
Okay.
And yeah.
Well, I've got my mom's from North Carolina and my dad's from Chicago. And so growing up in the 80s, I'm a Carolina Bulls guy. And so of course I've always liked Carolina. Well, my wife, our house we have now, I don't have any rights to the basement except the weight room. So all my sports memorabilia is in a storage. But we're getting ready to create a sports bar. We have 9,000 square feet, and we're turning our kitchen into a sports bar. And one of the items that's going to be there is I have a signed, framed Vince Carter rookie jersey, and it's rookie badass. Nice. Yeah, it's his rookie jersey. My wife got it when he got drafted, autographed, paid, and got from a certified company because she knows that kind of stuff. And then we had it's framed in this weatherproof, light, resistant. It costs like $800 for the frame itself, because I'm like, this is a cool jersey, because those jerseys, I just love Toronto's jerseys. But then it's on the behind the jersey is purple suede.
Nice.
And it is so badass. It's so cool. And I remember like Vince, his first couple of years, he was high flying and exciting to watch. But I remember thinking like 5 or 6 years in, like, okay, he's not Jordan. That's what everybody comes from Carolina that can dunk is Jordan all of a sudden. And I remember thinking like he wasn't a disappointment, but he was just a run of the mill. Well, then he goes on to play 3 decades or something.
Yeah, just ridiculous, wrapping up last year. I still remember the first time when the Raptors, and it was no big deal to the Bulls, but when the Raptors beat the Bulls, and the city went nuts because we were still, I think we're year 2 of the expansion. And I just remember Jordan walking off the court, and you know a little bit now with The Last Dance, seeing just his frustration, like to the media, like, get out of here, beat it. You guys are not much, but we were so excited. And we're excited to see DeMar DeRozan now in Chicago. Like, what a season, right? Like he was so important to our city. And I think probably as important as Vince in rebuilding with Kyle Lowry, rebuilding the Raptors team, but to see what DeRozan's doing in Chicago this year is, as Raptors fan, we're just love to see it.
Yeah, I saw Vince play 3 times in college. When I was in college, my wife and I would go to games at Chapel Hill. And then I saw him, my boss, my first job out of college in radio, Kim Wiest, got me courtside tickets to the Raptors and Pacers game. And it was
Nice.
wild because it couldn't have ended a better way. We're 4th row on the corner on the baseline. So we're right there. And the game comes down to overtime. And Charles Oakley is at the foul line and throws up what looks to be the worst shot in the history of shots, right? And it was like it was slow motion. And so I'm looking up to see where in the hell is he shooting it. And you see Vince above the rim and just comes down as time's expiring with a dunk and wins the game. And I stand up in my Vince Carter Carolina jersey. Yeah. And everybody's looking at me, what's wrong with you, kid? But it was wild to see because couldn't have ended better for a guy there only to watch Vince Carter.
Yeah, no, it was a great team we had then. I just wish we got we were 1 shot away where Vince missed there to go a little bit farther in the playoffs, but they had a great team there.
Well, cool. I appreciate your time. And in the comments, wherever you're seeing this in the post text is Matt's Instagram and LinkedIn. Make sure you reach out to him. If you're going to reach out to people on LinkedIn, do them a favor and tell them why. Make a connection request, send a message that says, hey, here's who I am. Here's why I'm reaching out to you. Because guys like me and Matt like to see that. And again, grab the book. It's awesome. Matt, any closing words?
No, just we put out content just like you every single day on LinkedIn. We're putting 5 videos out, 20 posts. We're trying to give content back to the industry and help in any way that we can. So follow me on LinkedIn, and hopefully we got some content that'll help you and your restaurant.
It's awesome content. I commonly refer to you and a couple other people that do the same thing to my team. Like, hey, watch these guys, listen, because this is what's going to arm us to help answer those questions that our clients need that aren't our specialty.
Awesome. And just thank you, Matt. Thanks for doing what you're doing and pushing content and pushing our industry forward, man. Up here in Canada, we see it when I'm in the States, and just appreciate you, brother.
Cool. I appreciate it. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, man.